Have you ever stared out at the ocean and felt a sense of wonder and maybe a little bit of fear about what's down there in the crushing dark? Our planet is a water world, but it's a world we barely know. In fact, we have better maps of the surface of Mars than we do of our own seafloor. More than 70% of the Earth is ocean, and most of it is a complete mystery. For centuries, people assumed the deep sea was a dead zone, a barren, lifeless desert. It made sense, given the crushing pressure and total darkness, but it was completely wrong. A few pioneering expeditions, driven by pure curiosity, dared to venture into that eternal night. What they found shattered our understanding of life itself. They discovered a world filled with creatures stranger than any fiction, and mysteries that we're still trying to piece together today. In this video, we're following in their footsteps. We'll retrace the journeys that first pulled back the curtain on the abyss, revealing the incredible discoveries they made and what's still waiting for us in the depths. Before we could even imagine visiting the deep, it was a place of myth and monsters. But by the 19th century, science stepped in with a more reasoned, though equally wrong, explanation. The leading theory was called the Azoic hypothesis, championed by an influential naturalist named Edward Forbes. After dragging a dredge across the Aegean Sea, he declared that life simply couldn't exist below 550 meters, or about 1,800 feet. He called this the Azoic, or lifeless, zone. Below that point, he argued, the conditions were just too hostile. The pressure would be unbearable, the water was freezing cold, and there wasn't a single ray of sunlight. It made perfect sense to the scientific community. How could anything survive being crushed, frozen, and starved in total darkness? Early attempts to find out seemed to prove him right. When expeditions tried to lower dredges on long hemp ropes, the ropes would just snap under the strain, losing their gear to the abyss. These failures only reinforced the idea that the deep sea was a dead, empty wasteland. Science had officially declared the deep a desert, but one revolutionary voyage was about to prove just how wonderfully wrong they were. The ship that would rewrite our biology books was the HMS Challenger. In 1872, this British Royal Navy warship was stripped of its cannons and transformed into a state-of-the-art floating laboratory. Its mission was unlike any other, a 4-year global journey to scientifically investigate the deep ocean. This wasn't about accidental discoveries. It was a targeted quest to unlock the secrets of the abyss, led by Sir Charles Wyville Thomson, a scientist who had a hunch the Azoic theory was wrong and was determined to prove it. The Challenger was armed with the best technology of its day. Instead of flimsy hemp ropes, it carried miles of durable steel wire rope, allowing the crew to send dredges and thermometers to depths no one had ever reached. For nearly 4 years, the ship and its crew worked their way across the globe, taking hundreds of samples from the seafloor. With every dredge they hauled up from the dark, the Azoic theory crumbled. Far from being a lifeless void, the deep sea was swarming with life. The Challenger's nets came up overflowing with bizarre creatures no one had ever seen. There were eerie, glass-like sponges, ghostly white crabs with impossibly long legs, and strange mollusks perfectly built for the extreme pressure. When the Challenger finally returned home in 1876, it had traveled nearly 128,000 kilometers and collected a treasure trove of data that would take decades to sort through. The expedition cataloged over 4,700 new species of marine life. The scientific results filled a massive 50-volume report that became the foundation for modern oceanography. One of the expedition's scientists, John Murray, perfectly described it as the greatest advance in the knowledge of our planet since the celebrated discoveries of the 15th and 16th centuries. The HMS Challenger had proven, without a doubt, that life wasn't just for the sunlit shallows. It was resilient, it was strange, and it was thriving in the last place on Earth anyone expected. The Challenger expedition had brought dead specimens from the deep sea up to us. But what was it actually like down there? in the living, breathing abyss? To answer that, you couldn't just send a bucket down, you had to go yourself. And the person brave enough to do it was an American naturalist named William Beebe. Working with engineer Otis Barton, Beebe created a revolutionary and, frankly, terrifying vessel, the Bathysphere. It wasn't a submarine. It had no engine, no propellers. It was a 5,000-pound cast iron ball, just under 5 feet wide, designed to be dangled in the ocean on a single steel cable. 2 men would be sealed inside, cramped on the floor with just 3 small quartz windows to see out. Between 1930 and 1934, Beebe and Barton made a series of terrifying dives off the coast of Bermuda. Peering through his tiny window, Beebe became the first person to ever witness the deep-sea world firsthand. He watched as the colors vanished one by one on his way down, first the reds, then the yellows, until all that was left was a deep, violet-blue twilight. And then, the abyss lit up, not with sunlight, but with the creatures themselves. Beebe described the darkness as boiling with light, a cascade of bioluminescence from animals generating their own cold chemical fire. Over the telephone line to the surface, he breathlessly described glowing fish, shrimp that shot out clouds of light, and bizarre, eel-like creatures with horrifying teeth. These weren't mangled specimens in a net, they were living beings in their own world. Beebe's record-setting dive to 3,028 feet in 1934 wasn't just about depth. It was a poetic revelation that showed the world the abyss wasn't an empty void, but a glittering, alien metropolis. If you're finding this journey into the deep as fascinating as we do, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We have a lot more mysteries to uncover, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Beebe proved that life thrived in the mid-waters, but the biggest question remained: could anything survive at the most extreme point on the planet? The ultimate test was a journey to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, to a place called the Challenger Deep. At a depth of nearly 11,000 meters, the pressure is over 1,000 times what it is at the surface. It's the most hostile environment on Earth. If life could exist there, it could exist anywhere. The machine built for this impossible mission was the Bathysphere Trieste. It was a true deep-sea submarine, designed by Swiss scientist Auguste Piccard and operated by the US Navy. It worked like an underwater airship, using a giant float filled with gasoline for buoyancy and dropping iron pellets to descend. On January 23, 1960, Auguste's son, Jacques Piccard, and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh sealed themselves inside and began their journey. The descent to the bottom took a painfully slow 4 hours and 47 minutes. As they went deeper, the world outside was absolute black. The pressure on their tiny sphere was almost unimaginable. During the descent, the crew was startled when an outer plexiglass window pane cracked under the strain, sending a shockwave through the entire vessel. But they kept going. Finally, their searchlights hit something. The bottom. They had reached the deepest point on Earth, and as they looked out into the silty darkness, they saw it. A creature, swimming calmly. It was a flatfish, about a foot long. That single fish, surviving in the most extreme environment on the planet, was one of the most profound discoveries ever made. It was the definitive proof that life, in its incredible tenacity, had found a way to conquer every last corner of the ocean. They hadn't just reached the bottom of the world, they had answered one of the biggest questions about life on our planet. The heroic age of the Bathysphere and Trieste proved the deep was both inhabited and reachable, but to truly explore it, technology had to take over. The modern era of deep-sea exploration is dominated by our robotic avatars, ROVs, or remotely operated vehicles, and their untethered cousins, AUVs. These are our eyes, hands, and sensors in the abyss, tethered to ships on the surface. ROVs with 4K cameras, powerful lights, and delicate robot arms can stay on the bottom for days, capturing stunning footage of things like sprawling deep-sea coral reefs and bizarre hydrothermal vents, where life thrives on chemicals spewing from the Earth's crust instead of sunlight. But the spirit of human exploration isn't gone. In 2012, filmmaker James Cameron made his own historic solo dive to the Challenger Deep in his custom-built sub, the Deep Sea Challenger. He spent hours exploring the bottom and discovered new species, including a new type of sea cucumber. And modern missions are constantly proving how much is still out there. In 2024, a submersible exploring the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, one of the deepest places on Earth, found a secret ecosystem. They discovered thriving colonies of tube worms, mollusks, and crustaceans in a place where scientists thought only microbes could survive. These explorers, both human and robotic, keep proving that no matter how much we look, the deep sea always has another secret to share. For all the incredible things we've found, the most startling fact is what we don't know. As of 2024, only about 25% of the global seafloor has been mapped with modern, high-resolution technology. But when it comes to what we've actually seen with our own eyes or a camera, one study estimated that humans have visually observed less than 0.001% of the deep seafloor. That means the overwhelming majority of our planet's largest habitat is a complete mystery. So, what's hiding in that other 99.999%? What colossal, elusive creatures might live in the vast, open waters, avoiding our cameras for centuries? There are tens of thousands of underwater mountains, called seamounts, that have never been studied, each one a potential island of unique life. What strange ecosystems are flourishing on their slopes? The challenges are immense. The pressure, the corrosive salt water, and the sheer difficulty of operating in the dark make every dive a monumental task. But with every technological leap, we push the boundaries a little further. We're part of a new age of exploration, one that's not about finding new lands, but about discovering the hidden world that's been right here all along. We've gone from thinking the deep was a lifeless void to knowing it as a cradle of bizarre and beautiful life. We followed the pioneers who shattered old myths, the adventurers who rode in metal spheres, and the robots that now patrol the abyss. But the story is far from finished. The biggest discoveries and the strangest creatures are still out there, waiting for us under the waves. It turns out the final frontier isn't in the stars, it's in our own oceans. What do you think is the biggest mystery hiding in our oceans? Let us know in the comments below. And for more journeys into the unknown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.